it's the M.L.M for the Soul channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. And some people I thank who've inspired me. I hope they can inspire you as well. We'll have links below this video to their sites. They are Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Lezer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Alon Anava, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Rav Daniel Asor, Nisan Baruch Black, David Sachs, Rabbi Michael Skobach, Jews for Judaism, Rabbi David Usher, and Rabbi Yaron Reuven. And as well, if you've never checked out this channel before, you can check out my first video, which I will link right below this one as well. And I will explain on there what M.L.M for the Soul means, what it stands for, and what I'm doing. So today's topic is called the superior power. And again, I am referring to this wonderful Sefer, I guess you can call it, Lilmod U'Li'Lamed, from the teaching of the sages on the weekly Parsha, etc. And I will have a link, and here's the book. I will have the link below to the to this book, so you can check out if you can purchase it somewhere, because it's definitely worthwhile. So this is from the previous Parsha we just did, Parashat Lech Lecha. And here it was talking about Avram, how he came to believe in Hashem. So at the time of his, where he lived, most people worshiped idols, but his father Terach also, he owned a shop where he sold idols. But Avram quickly came to realize that they were not anything to be, ruling the earth. And so he said there must be a superior force capable of creating the world and regulating all of nature. Hence, the idea for the title, it comes from a little further too. I call it the superior power. It could be force as well, or, So what he did was he gazed up at the sky and he saw the sun. So I'm just paraphrasing what it says here. So he said this must be the rule of the earth, but then, and he worshipped the sun. But when the night fell, the sun was eclipsed, and then the moon came. So then he said maybe it's the moon. But then when the morning came, the day that light came, the sun came out again. So then that was then when he realized there must be a power superior to the sun that controls everything, and that must be the invisible, eternal, almighty, to whom Abram now worshipped. So that's who became, that was the supreme power that we're referring to. So that's how he came to realize who it was. But the interesting story that happened with Avram and his father had to go away, and he was left in charge of the store, and people came in, to purchase these idols. So one man came in, and Avram said to him, "How old are you?" And he says he's 60. And then he says, "Oh, woe to you that you're buying an idol that was made yesterday." So the person was so embarrassed that he actually left. Then a woman came into the shop with a tray with flour, and she wanted this to be given as a sacrifice to the idols. So when the woman left, Avram took a heavy instrument. He broke all the idols and took this instrument and placed it in the largest idol's hands. And when Terach came back, he asked what happened. Then he told him the whole story about the woman who came. And he told them what happened, that an argument broke out among the idols, and each one wanted to eat from the flour first. And in the big idol, he smashed all the other idols. So then Terach said to him, "What, are you joking with me? These idols can't do that. They're not capable of doing that." So Avram said, "Aha! So now your ears should hear what your mouth is saying." Or as I like how Rabbi Mordechai says it, Rabbi Mordechai says, "Your ears should listen to your foolish mouth." She said the idols are only stone and wood, and they have no power to even move. So how could they ever even control the world? There's only one great power in the world, and that is Hashem. Hence, again, the superior power. But because of that, he was considered a heretic, and he was brought before the king Nimrod and sentenced, and he was either told he could bow down or worship the idols, or else, he would go to a terrible death by fire in the furnace. But what Avram said is, there's no question what I would reply, that I would never bow to a statue, only Hashem will receive my worship. So he went into the furnace, but a miracle happened. Hashem performed a miracle for him, where he actually just walked out the other side. They expected him to be screaming, because he was going to be, die from that. But nothing happened to him, and people were in amazement. But what happened was, then next was his brother, Haran, who he was going to decide what he was going to do based on what happened to Avram, and he decided that he was also going to go into the furnace and he wouldn't worship an idol. But the problem there is that he did not make it out alive. He actually died because He depended on a miracle, but miracles happen to only those who have complete faith in Hashem, as Avram did, and unfortunately his brother did not. He was very wishy-washy, therefore that did not happen for him. And so one must be strong in his faith and ready to stand up for it wholeheartedly. So that's why Avram's escape demonstrates all the existence of Hashem and the reward paid to one who fully believes in him. He was the first individual to come to the realization of Hashem's existence on his own. He paved the path of Emunah, which is the belief in Hashem, for all the generations to come. Even a child can perceive with his pure, simple Emunah things that a non-believer may not. So something cute that this will happen, a story, I don't know where it came from, but it said a Gentile once asked a Jewish boy how the boy knew Hashem exists. The boy replied, I live near a seashore. If I go there and see footsteps in the sand, I know that someone had been there. In the same way, whenever I look up and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the wonders of nature, I know that Hashem is there. Those are some of his imprints on the universe. And then another story with Rabbi Yitzchak. When he was a child, he was brought to a maggid. He says, I'll give you a gold coin if you can find where Hashem is. So the boy replied, I will give you 2 gold coins if you can find a place where Hashem is not. I like that very much. So here we're just seeing, Hashem is the superior force that exists, and all of the people here that are answering are attesting to that. And then there was another story about Rabbi Hanina, who was one of the 10 Harugei Malchus, one of the 10 who were killed by the Romans, and he was tortured because he was teaching Torah, and what they did was they wrapped him in wool, and they wanted to prolong his death. And what he said was he sees the parchment burning, but the letters are ascending to heaven. So, showing that the words of the Torah and the soul of Rabbi Hanina went on to everlasting life, but that the Roman Empire eventually crumbled. And but an interesting story with that, it's not mentioned here, but I know of it, is that the person who was watching all this, the Roman, I guess the executioner or whatever, he said, if I remove the wall and let you not prolong your death, will you guarantee me a place in Olam Haba? So he said yes. So Rabbi Hanina said yes. So he did that, and then he jumped into the fire, and then a heavenly voice came out and said, welcome Rabbi Hanina and this person, I don't know if they mention his name, to Olam Haba. So they say, Adam koneh olamo b'rega achad. A person can get his world to come in a split second, and that's what this Roman person did. And one more story is that there was a person who was not born a Jew, but he decided to become a Jew. His name was Potocki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He was a nephew of a Polish king, and but what happened was he found himself attracted to Judaism, and he wanted to learn it. And as a result, he left and converted. So he was a true, as we say, Ger Tzedek, a convert of practiced faithfully and learned the Torah eagerly. But he was found as an act of treason, and he tried to escape, but he was caught. And the king says that one day he will die and you will take over, but only if he'll renounce his conversion. But he refused to do that. He says, I am a Jew and I will die a Jew. And so therefore he was burned as a heretic. But to the end he retained his faith. And here's an interesting story about him. He was so great, the example was set, that the Vilna Gaon, the supreme Torah leader of his time, requested to be buried next to him. Pretty amazing. So there you go. You see who in the end is the supreme one. And all these people were going towards that. They understood that that was the most important thing. So that is very important to keep that in mind and to always remember who is the superior or supreme force that exists in the world, and that we have to follow his way, the derech, and his ratzon, and his will, and that we will all merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days, and the rebuilding of our final everlasting base Hamikdash. Amen. And thanks for watching.